Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. Traffic in transit every 10 minutes around the clock. Breaking traffic alerts whenever they happen. I'm Garen Stewart, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Jeep Adventure Days are back at Ramsey Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. With low lease offers on all remaining new 2024 models, it's never looked better for you to get behind the wheel of a Jeep you'll love. Your next adventure begins at Ramsey Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram.
I like to eat pepperoni pizza. I like to eat
pepperoni pizza. Hey, you guys are never going to guess what national holiday it is today. Meteorologist Joe Lundberg, do I give you first crack at this one?
National Pepperoni Pizza Day?
Oh, sorry, Joe. No, I'm kidding. Of course it's pepperoni pizza. You know, you got Pizza Day and Pepperoni Pizza Day, so it's just another excuse for us to eat the pizza, Joe.
I don't need any excuse. I can eat it just fine. Thank you very much.
I got to tell you, I'm not upset about the weekend forecast we got coming up here.
Could be a little worse, but just really dealing with this pesky ocean storm that will have minimal impact on our weather. Maybe a shower over the east end of Long Island. It will roil up the beaches. There's a rip current risk for the south shore of Long Island and at the Jersey Shore. And there may be some coastal flooding to contend with at times of high tide today, tonight, into tomorrow from all of that. Otherwise, the weather itself, pretty good. Sun and clouds and breezy today. Our high 78, down to 61 tonight under partly cloudy skies. Partly sunny, breezy tomorrow, mid-70s. Breezy and a bit on the cool side Sunday with clouds and sun and a high of 72. Cool Monday with clouds and some sun and a high near 70. Mostly cloudy, 68 in Central Park. We're headed to 78 in Midtown. I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Attention patients exposed to urologists.
Got some commercials. Wanted to say thank you to the historians that have subscribed. Thank you to those that have viewed. The mission of this channel, if it's your first time here, is to document history for future generations so that people from 30 years from now can have a nostalgic look at what's going on or what went on 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
Launching missiles into Israel, which reportedly hatched that explosives plan quite a long time ago.
We're learning Israel began planning for a supply chain attack like this 15 years ago. An intelligence source confirms to ABC News that Israel created shell companies to manufacture and eventually sell the pagers to Hezbollah. The source confirming that 1 to 2 ounces of explosives were planted in the pagers with a remote trigger switch to set off the blast.
That's correspondent Martha Raditz. Wednesday News Time, 7:35. Feeling the wrath of the Swifties, the country star deleting a post on X which said, "Eagles are better than the Chiefs, Kanye's better than Taylor, who's with me?" Oh, by the way, let me correct that. The backlash was so harsh, Brian deleted his entire X account. Brian went over to Instagram to apologize, saying he had a few drinks and compared Taylor's Tortured Poets department to Kanye's Yee. He thought it would be a good idea to publicize his review. He told his fans, "Don't drink and tweet." We've known that for a long time, Zach. Listen, just keep singing, my friend. Hey, there's good news and there's bad news in this story. In the U.S. are having a lot of sex. That's the good news. Bad news is there's a major spike in the rise of STDs, and the numbers show senior citizens are mostly to blame. The numbers show in 2022 more than 2.5 million cases of syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia reported in the U.S. Man, oh man, the CDC says the numbers from 2023 should be worse. They say the rates of STDs in sexually active people over the age of 60 more than doubled over the last 10 years. Experts say older adults lack the knowledge about STD transmission, don't often use condoms since pregnancy isn't a concern. The numbers show sex-crazed seniors in South Dakota lead the way with the highest rate of syphilis cases. Washington, D.C. is your leader in gonorrhea cases. And Alaska wins the chlamydia Olympics in seniors. Hey, hold your heads up high, New York and New Jersey. I didn't see you guys on the list.
Connection, opportunity, possibility.
Like I was saying, I wanted to thank you guys for viewing these videos, these daily snippets of the news. The reason for these is to record history, as I said earlier. And I did hear a comment from someone, or read a comment that said, you know, the news is always going to be on the internet. That is true. But those stories lose the local community news flavor. And also there's something nostalgic about listening to the actual broadcast of what was going on that particular day. Even if you saw a major news story on the internet 20 years from now, there's something nostalgic about actually listening to the live broadcast.
See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Also, I think it might be cool for people outside the Northeast area here in the U.S. to kind of look back and listen to what we Northerners listen to on a daily basis.
If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a
And we're at a commercial. We're on Broadway right now. We're getting ready to listen to the 740 headline news. We're going past the former Barnard Hospital. It's now like medical office buildings.
Curated just right.
You're aware of what's going on around you?
I just leave it on all day.
1010 wins.
at 92.3 FM.
Talk to God when I need a favor.
Jelly Roll is on a big roll. Told you yesterday he's going to be the musical guest on the 50th season premiere of Saturday Night Live. Now Jelly and Kane Brown are set to headline CBS New Year's Eve Live, Nashville's Big Bash. The concert special also going to feature an all-star lineup of performances across different time zones. CBS ringing in the new year with country's biggest stars. Jelly Roll on a roll.
Entertainment on 1010 Wins is sponsored by Shulman and Hill, New York's injury
Go
lawyers.
to hurtny.com.
That's hurtny.com.
Experience fall colors like never before in St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida. Let's soak up the golden sun along your...
We're back on a commercial, getting ready to leave Patterson as we go past Eastside Park. We're going to take Route 20 north to Garfield.
Season long.
We're waiting for the 740 headline. So thank you for staying with me.
That there was a single management software that could handle your CRM, accounting, manufacturing, marketing, inventory, sales, and everything in between for a fraction of the cost of the dozens of disconnected platforms most companies rely on to manage their business. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, that's Odoo. Odoo is the end-all be-all for...
This is where Broadway starts turning into a highway-like system. Even though the speed limit is still 25, it's still a residential area.
Trust me, that's a true statement. New York's one and only all-new station. We're here for you.
There we go, 740 headline news.
Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good morning. We are at 68 degrees. Got some sunshine at 7:40 on this Friday, September 20th. I'm Scott Stanford. Here's what's happening. Holiday season right around the corner. Hundreds of thousands will continue to flock into Times Square. But what do they find when they get there? Glenn Shucks checking on the quality of life at the crossroads. A teenage boy has been arrested and charged with murder in connection with the shooting of a woman in Chinatown last week outside of her apartment. A teenage boy on Staten Island, the victim of a shooting yesterday near his high school. Police trying to find out why this kid was shot in the leg. Vice President Kamala Harris sitting down with Oprah last night.
Because it actually is hope and joy rising.
A star-studded interview session as Harris looks to persuade undecided voters. An insane scene out of Thailand. One woman wrapped up by a python in her kitchen, squeezing this woman for 2 hours. She walks away from the whole encounter. It's unreal. You got to look at it. Checking sports, Jets fly high at home with a win over the Pats. Mets roll on with a win. Yankees lost last night. AccuWeather, we get clouds and sunshine, high around 78 degrees. Winds news time, 7:41. Traffic and transit Friday morning. Here's Karen Stewart.
We're checking the Hudson River crossings first. What you need to know about the bridges and tunnels are not bad. The inbound George, 15 to 20. How's that sound? The inbound Lincoln is 25, and the inbound Holland has a 25 to 30-minute delay. Over the East River, the Throgneck and Whitestone aren't doing badly at all. The RFK Triborough Bridge is some moderate traffic there. The inbound 59th Street Bridge is busy across the span. The Queens Boulevard delay is longer than the Northern Boulevard delay is. And your lower easts are still hanging in there. The inbound Gowanus delay started at Verrazano, go up to 39th Street. Then you get a little bit of a respite for a moment or two, and then it starts picking up traffic again from the 20s up into Atlantic Avenue. And the westbound BQE is slow from Metropolitan Avenue down to Atlantic Avenue as well. Now, as we take a check of the Bell Parkway, I don't want to, but that's what we have to talk about. The eastbound Belt to Pennsylvania multi-car crash. The left and the center lanes are blocked. We're jammed eastbound from Flatbush and westbound from back at the Southern State. And as we take a look at what we see on Long Island's Big Three, westbound LIE, not bad, not even out to the Queens line. Northern State with traffic around the Meadowbrook, and we've got a westbound Southern State delay from exit 15 out to the Cross Island and Bell Parkway split. Our next report's in less than 10. I'm Karen Stewart, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Well, in the blink of an eye, the holidays are going to be here, and we're going to be capping it all off with a ball drop in Times Square. So, how is the crossroads of the world doing these days? Glenn Schuck taking a look at the quality of life issues impacting the businesses there.
Incredibly, it's been 4.5 years since the start of the pandemic. How are businesses doing? Jeff Lapadula, the PS Kitchen, West 48th off Times Square.
Yeah, so Times Square, I mean, it's not what it used to be pre-pandemic for sure. We're definitely seeing more public urination. We're still seeing people shooting up on the streets nearby, things like that we did not see when you have tons of office workers walking around.
He says Mondays for business are rough, Fridays even worse.
Very quiet. Yeah, I mean, I could just throw you some numbers too. Like we used to do maybe $2,500 or $3,000 in revenue. Now we're lucky if we do $800-900 in an entire Friday.
Wow. And the Times Square Alliance tells me they're very concerned about pedicabs charging $8 a minute, calling them predatory, and they have no insurance. Glenn Schuck, 1010 Wins, 92.3 FM, in Times Square.
Wins News Time 7:44. Last week we told you about a woman who was killed in front of her family outside of her apartment in Chinatown. Police have now arrested a teenager wanted in connection with that shooting. NYPD says it happened down on Market Street back on the 9th. Two suspects, they say, followed a man into his building and into the elevator up to the 8th floor. That's when they try to rob this guy. His wife, 57-year-old Ying Zulu, came outside with the couple's son to see what was happening when she was shot in the face. This neighbor heard it all go down.
Sort of a loud shriek and then a lot of muffled yelling. There seemed to be a struggle in the stairwell. Not one point did I think, this would be possible.
A 16-year-old boy has now been charged with murder. Police are still looking for another suspect. On Staten Island, a teenage boy was shot as he was standing not too far from McKee High School. Police are trying to figure out why.
We know a 17-year-old boy is recovering in the hospital after police say he was shot in the leg. This happened on St. Mark's Place, which is right near the back entrance of McKee High School. Neighbors that live across the street heard the gunshots.
I heard like 3 distinct gunshots, but I was like sleeping. I went here and I saw this police car here.
This is the second back-to-back gun-related incident in the St. George section of Staten Island. On Wednesday, a teen was caught with a loaded gun just before heading inside of Curtis High School. That's a 6-minute walk away. Parents like Raw Fowler are worried.
I see kids in here play all the time, so you see the kids from school think, like I say, you got to put the guns down.
Police tell us the victim is in stable condition. So far, no arrests have been made. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in the St. George section of Staten Island.
Well, this one could have ended really bad. 2 students brought guns into Flushing High School yesterday. Luckily, they were arrested before any disasters. NYPD says a 17 and a 15-year-old were both taken into custody after the firearms were found during a bag check. The DOE putting out a statement saying we're grateful to our NYPD school safety agents who worked quickly to de-escalate, recover both weapons, and ensure that our buildings are safe. Another shoving on the subway yesterday, this one during the morning commute in Brooklyn. Police say a guy in his 30s walked up to a 62-year-old woman, asked her for her lighter. She didn't respond, and he allegedly pushed her onto the tracks. Luckily, bystanders helped her back up onto the platform. She did suffer some swelling on her head. The guy took off. Police now have his photo up on their site. It's also going up on ours at 1010wins.com. Wins News Time 7:46. Did you guys know we're in the middle of a presidential campaign season? You may have heard something about it. Kamala Harris sat down for a chat with Oprah Winfrey last night in the battleground state of Michigan.
The idea that someone suggesting that my opponent and suggests, which is that the measure of the strength of a leader based on who you beat down. Come on. The real measure of the strength of a leader is on who you lift up.
Oprah started out with an introduction of a few of the guests like Chris Rock, Ben Stiller, Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lopez, just to name a few. Meanwhile, Donald Trump spoke last night at an event focusing on anti-Semitism in America.
Speaking before Jewish supporters, the former president made several promises, including this.
This ugly tide of anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas bigotry and hate will be turned back and crushed starting at noon on January 20th, 2025.
He also made some predictions.
If I don't win, I believe Israel will be eradicated.
Trump also complained about recent polls showing only about 40% of Jewish Americans support him, adding the others should, quoting here, have their head examined.
That's correspondent Linda Kenyon. Those old social media posts will come back to haunt you every time. Just ask North Carolina's Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Robinson says he will stay on as the Republican nominee in that state's gubernatorial race, despite the news about his posting offensive racial and sexual comments on an online message board over 10 years ago. CNN reporting that Robinson referred to himself as Black Nazi. Political analyst Larry Sabato says Mr. Robinson is going to make it a little more difficult for Donald Trump to carry North Carolina in November.
He is the evangelical Christian candidate for governor. And as such, and as the Trump endorsee in the race, Trump got him nominated. He's doing the ticket some real damage.
Robinson says he won't be forced out by, quote, salacious tabloid lies. Hey, you have to see these photos online. It's incredible. A 64-year-old woman in Thailand sitting in her kitchen as a huge python is squeezing her for around 2 hours.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We are now on Outwater Lane in Garfield, headed to work. We'll see you guys on the next video.